So around 1:10 p.m. today, the Bristol Police Department received a call of an altercation at 25 Naomi Street, the residence directly behind us. Officers responded to this location, were alerted that there was a family altercation between a father and a son. Officers were also alerted that the father had displayed a firearm during the altercation with his son. Bristol police officers quickly responded to the residence, were able to evacuate the son and his mother, and they were brought to safety, at which point officers were confirmed that there were firearms in the home. At this point, we called in additional resources. Also within the Bristol Police Department, with me I have Major Brian Burke, with me Major Scott McNally and Sergeant Paul Medeiros. Officers secured the premises, at which point we evacuated the neighborhood, all of the residents on the left and the right side of the home to make sure that the scene was safe. Once we locked down that particular location, we called in ancillary resources from both Portsmouth and Warren Police. I want to thank them for their assistance, along with the Rhode Island State Police, their negotiating team and hostage negotiation team, and their additional resources with the Bearcat were en route. Lieutenant Julie Vita did an exceptional job today. She kept in constant contact on the police bullhorn. Having a relationship, living in a small town, we seem to know quite a few of the residents, and she did an exemplary job today and was able to negotiate with Mr. Coelho, who ultimately came out of the home without incident, and we were able to effectuate an arrest.
Why was the altercation? What was the basis behind it?
It's our understanding. We're further investigating it, but the younger Coelho, the son, had a proceeding that was in the court today that he did not attend, and we believe that to be the genesis for the argument between the father and the son.
Why not dismiss school early?
Because at the time we knew we had about an hour before dismissal would begin at the school, so it does take some time to coordinate. So immediately contacted the school superintendent and the town administrator. We made a decision to make sure that all buses did not come in this general area. They were all pushed out to Metacom Avenue. Any walkers were held. Parents had to be contacted so that we didn't have any high school age children walking down. As you can see, we're on the grounds of the high school now, giving the press release. Numerous officers were dispatched to the school to alert family, students, and to address any concerns that they had. So we had a very secure dismissal at the high school. It was seamless. A credit to the officers that responded in immediately, that were off duty to respond to the high school to ensure that safe dismissal.
So despite firearms being present, there were no shots fired?
No shots fired, Ms. Steve.
How many guns were found in the house?
That work will begin momentarily. So we're waiting for family members to come back. And we will begin a lot more work ahead of us today, but the scene is secure. The Bristol Police Department have effectuated an arrest, and we will begin our investigation and review of what type of weapons and how many exist in the home.
So it was negotiations that brought this to a successful conclusion?
Absolutely.
And the shelter in place, I'm guessing, was lifted?
Yes, it has been. I immediately contacted the superintendent once Mr. Coelho was in custody, and we returned back to normal dismissal.
What kind of charges do you anticipate charges in this?
We certainly do. Certainly we're in the beginning stages. As you know, moments ago we transported Mr. Coelho, but there are domestic violence related assault charges along with firearm charges that the Bristol Police Department will be reviewing with the Attorney General's office.
Do you know, was he licensed to carry?
That we're reviewing right now.
Okay.
Are you guys known to them? Have you been called to the house before?
We have been. The Bristol Police has had contact with residents of that home.
How many times? Multiple? Once?
Not multiple, but there's been more than one time, yes.
Chief, this is the second time there's been an incident like this in Bristol in the last 6 months. How are you guys doing with stuff like this? You know, it's tough to come to these situations.
It's a very good question. One of the things that we want to do is certainly, a credit to our council and our town administrator. We make sure that we have the proper equipment. We're replacing all of our body armor, make sure that we're under warranty. And yesterday we had a general staff meeting where we discussed buying additional tactical gear. We're going to be working with the Cranston Police Department to get some additional training on how to, secure a scene, best practices. We're a small town. So when these things happen, we rely on the ancillary services of our sister agencies, the Portsmouth and the Warren Police, and we contacted the state police like we did on High Street. And we're grateful for their quick response and their assistance.
What was it you did just yesterday?
Just yesterday we had a general staff meeting, and one of the topics that we discussed with Sergeant Medeiros, who is our firearms instructor, was bringing in additional equipment, tactical gear, and as you can see, some shields, ballistic shields that officers could carry, some stationary shields. And we're looking at training with the Cranston Police Department, who has a proficient special reaction team, to garner that, additional training that we need for a small local PD.
Were you guys outside? Did you have to have your guns drawn? Like, what were you doing outside the home while this was unfolding? Visually?
Certainly, we were prepared, for a situation at hand, and officers did have patrol rifles and firearms prepared.
Okay. Obviously, this is very close to a high school, this backyard, basically. Obviously, it was a good resolution, but I'm sure it was troublesome to get that call.
It certainly is. It's my primary concern as I turned onto Naomi Street, looking to my right. We can easily see the playing field is behind us. So it was my first call, and to the credit of our town administrator, he's our former deputy chief. That was his primary concern, was to make sure that the school children were safe and we had a proper dismissal.
Anything to add?
No, I want to thank everybody for coming out, and we appreciate and we're grateful on Ash Wednesday there was a positive result today.